I need somebody help, not just anybody help. Won't you please help me, help me, help me.
We can all use a little help, and that's what today's webinar is all about. The top 10 PaperCut support questions from the ACDI Help Desk. Thanks to Sarita, Jeremy, and Nasir for helping to compile this info, and Keith, as always, for the design. Very pertinent information, and I think everyone will walk away with a little more knowledge about PaperCut from today's session. Doc Ballje rocking out, and yes, we will be having a trivia question at the end of the presentation with another chance for you to win a very cool ACDI t-shirt. Or get started with our top 10 PaperCut support questions. Question number 1. What happens when I exceed my license limit? These are the indications you will get if you exceed user licenses in PaperCut. The message on the top will also show up on every screen, and you have full functionality for 40 days to allow you to correct the problem. After that time, you will only have access to the User Sync tab to sync or delete users, and the About tab to add a new license. PaperCut will continue to track in the background, and printing will continue as normal. You will not lose any data. You can set up PaperCut to email you if or when the license is exceeded. See the Options Notifications section. And let's discuss user sync actions. The sync process only adds users, and it's configured under Options User Group Sync. Perform this task nightly that adds any new users to the PaperCut users list. If you remove a user from your sync source, the user will not automatically be removed from PaperCut. If you want to delete the users that you've removed from the sync source, you need to do that manually, and don't forget, back up before deleting. That's always a best practice. On-demand user creation, it's at the bottom of this page. If that's switched on, then if an active AD user who doesn't exist in the sync source prints a job, that user will get created automatically in PaperCut. So this is another way that users can show up, perhaps putting you over your limit. On-demand user creation pops up a lot during this presentation, so please take note of this setting. Some accounts may not be used by real users, and therefore you may not want to import all users. It may be best to import only the groups that are needed for printing. Accounts may include users that exist for other reasons. They might be used by special applications like databases, web servers, maybe file shares. They could be template accounts used by system administrators, or virtual accounts used to represent resources in applications such as Microsoft Outlook. Another option would be to run a network monitoring software like PRTG to monitor your licensing. I use this one because it provides up to 100 sensors for free, so I can demonstrate the capabilities of using PaperCut's system health monitoring. Here you can see my license dropping every day until it was reset. Matter of fact, a couple of times. You can set up all types of alerts with this so you're not caught unaware. Question number 2. How do I update to the latest version? It used to be that the dealership needed to provide the end user with PaperCut MF, and that did change some time ago. On the About page are 2 spots to check for updates, and it'll provide a link to the download of the latest version. Updates have always been an over-the-top install, and in most cases only take a few minutes to perform. The dashboard also provides information about the latest release, along with links to see the new and noteworthy features, as well as a full release history. And you'll always know if you're up to date, as your current version is displayed at the bottom of each page right near the PaperCut logo. Question number 3. The logs show a different count than the printer. PaperCut tracks usage performed by users, including network printing from workstations, and off-the-glass MFP usage of copying, scanning, and faxing, of course with PaperCut MF. There are some types of usage that may not be tracked by PaperCut, performed by individual users, and that could include technician and admin device reports like configuration reports, meter count reports, that type of thing. Prints that are sent to the printer directly, not via a print server PaperCut is monitoring, and this can be avoided by locking access to direct printing. When print jobs are canceled at the printer or the MFP after PaperCut has recorded the job at the print queue, this can be reduced by implementing hardware page checks. On-demand user creation settings can affect this too. Let's take a look at the last two items in a little more detail. Have you ever seen the PaperCut TCP IP port when configuring printers and ever wonder what it does? Using this port and checking the box under printers to validate page counts after printing will actually do a hardware check on the device. It'll query the device for a meter read and then query it again after the job to ensure that everything is accounted for. Play for the users, so take care in implementing this feature. Here's on-demand user creation again. Another reason for logs showing a different count than the printer could be due to the way on-demand user creation is treated in PaperCut. When PaperCut on-demand user creation is configured to not add the user and allow printing, then that's exactly what happens. The default action, as mentioned previously, is to create the user and allow usage, so make sure this is set the way you intend it to behave. Question number 4. I released my job, but nothing comes out. This really boils down to the print driver. Remember, PaperCut is vendor agnostic, and we can use any print driver that'll get the job done for us. There is the PaperCut Global PostScript driver that can be used with mixed fleets as long as the device is capable of a PostScript output. For Find Me printing, what happens is if you use could release a job and nothing comes out if your configuration is wrong. The first thing to do with any PaperCut install is to get the devices in on the network and printing as usual before you install PaperCut. Doing it this way will provide a successful installation every time. When the drivers are all working to begin with, now it's easy to create your secure or Find Me queues. When you're in the Device tab and working on a configuration, you enable Print Release, and this screen opens up to choose your drivers. This is important. Whatever print language you use as your input queue needs to be the same as the print language on the output queue, or nothing comes out. In this example, we have a PCL queue as an input queue, and after enabling Find Me printing support on the device, I can select my output queue as I have done here. Well, as I take a look at this configuration, I realize this is going to fail because I'm using a PCL driver on the input and a PostScript driver on the output. Don't do that. Keep your print language the same for successful queue redirection. Remember that. I can't see my mobility printers. Let's do some basic server checks to start with. Log into the Mobility Print Admin interface. Click Select Printers. Verify that the printer is listed and published. If the printer is missing from the list, set it up on the server as a local printer, like adding it via the print management application. Check that it works correctly by printing using a local server application. Verify that the printer is a local printer. Printers hosted on another server and reshared are not published. Ensure the client is on the network, on Wi-Fi. Printers are not visible when the client's on a mobile or on a 4G network. You could also try reinstalling the client. If you're using MDNS Discovery, verify that the client is on the same subnet as the mobility print server. If your network has a subnet, like a separate subnet for Wi-Fi, consider using DNS Discovery. Consider renaming the printer if it uses special characters. Try simple ASCII characters to rule out associated issues. Printers are republished every 5 minutes or immediately if the server or service is restarted. You could verify server connectivity from the client. An easy way is to use the Mobility Print Help Center. You open up a browser and go to http:// the server name, :9163/help. Check that the client meets minimum system requirements. Android versions earlier than 4.4 are not supported. And verify that the server is not set up on a DNS server. You can use DNS, but you don't on a DNS server. And if you have DNS set up and you're having issues, then check out the Mobility Troubleshooting Guide. This is a very cool interactive diagram that you could go over with the network administrator to see what the issue might be. Follow the path. Click on the links, and you should have it diagnosed and up and running in no time. Question number 6. Users print jobs, but they're not tracked. Well, there could be a couple of things going on here. PaperCut is running. Dashboard is available, but for some reason the job is not being tracked. PaperCut is SOA, Service-Oriented Architecture, and it installs 3 services upon installation: the PaperCut Application Server, PaperCut Print Provider, and PaperCut Web Print Server. The app server can run without the print provider, so double check that the print provider service is running and set to automatic, otherwise you will not be tracking jobs. If there is another print server, then make sure either a secondary or a site server has been installed, as it too has a print provider service running that reports back to the application server. You must have the PaperCut print provider service running in order to track jobs, period. Check to make sure you're printing to a print queue being monitored by PaperCut. Users should not be printing directly to the IP address of the printer. Everything must pass through a print queue that PaperCut is monitoring. Use the direct print monitor. That essentially puts a print provider service on a workstation to monitor USB and or direct connected printers. However, you might lose some functionality of PaperCut setting up drivers that way. If you need to check your queues a bit more, this is a great test on the server side. Open up the server print queue in question and go to Printer, Pause Printing. Now all jobs will be paused to the spooler. Then send a print job from the client to the printer. If everything is set up correctly, then the print job should go into the queue on the server and enter a paused state. If the print job does not appear in the server-based queue, then you're not printing to the correct print queue. Another item to check is whether or not the user is listed in PaperCut. PaperCut is licensed per user, and if they are not in the database, whether it comes from a directory sync, imported by spreadsheet, created manually as an internal user, or any combination thereof, then they will be unable to print. The command action will override this and create the user. Just keep in mind whether you want that action to happen so you don't go over your license like we explained previously. I'll also throw in this tidbit, and then if you're running a secondary server and those jobs are not being tracked, check that the version is equal or below the application server version. Question number 7. The client doesn't run. In this case, it could be your DNS settings. Change config.properties to use an IP instead of DNS name. If ports 9191 and SSL port 9192 are blocked on the firewall, then that could be another reason for this to happen. Or are you on Wi-Fi? Maybe it's just a bad connection between the server and clients due to dropouts on the network. This is a network issue of some kind, as communication is not happening from the client to the application server. Number 8. I'm not getting the account selection pop-up. Is the client running? Check the taskbar to see what the status is of the server. Is it connected? And while the client is backward compatible, do you have the latest client installed? Print a job and check the job logs to see if the job is listed. Perhaps you're connected directly to the printer, so PaperCut doesn't see the job. If the job arrives and is not listed, then that's a pretty good indication that PaperCut is not monitoring that queue. If the job is not listed and the job has not printed, then perhaps it's in a hold release queue. Check the Jobs Pending Release tab under Printers on the dashboard. And to see if the client is responding, send a test message and see if you get the pop-up. It's under Notifications all the way at the bottom of the page.
Number 9.
number 9, number 9, number 9, number 9, number 9.
Oh, yeah, you knew something like that was coming, didn't you? Starting with the Beatles, of course. I had to throw something else in. Question number 9. I'm logged in, but I can't see the scanning button. This could happen when the email address is not in the user profile. If nothing is there, you will not see any scanning actions. And another cause is when the access list is not set correctly for the user to see the scan action. You can limit who can use this feature by group or user. As discussed on a couple of past webinars, groups are the easiest way to set permissions in PaperCut. Finally, question number 10. The device shows as offline. Well, can you hit the device web page from a browser? What's the status in PaperCut? Open up the device in PaperCut and scroll down the box. It should say something about waiting for a user to log in. If it doesn't, then it could be a network issue like DNS filtering, firewall rules, SSL, ports. You know, it might even be a layer 1 issue. I've seen that. Change the patch cord and problem solved. So don't overlook your basics. If you keep on having dropouts, then you may want to consider setting up a site server to provide high availability. What's this? A bonus? We're going to be just like Spinal Tap, and we're going to take this presentation up to 11 for that extra push over the cliff. A bonus. My card reader is not reading the number printed on my badge. Card readers are great. Sometimes your customer wants to read the number that's printed on an HID badge, so one of the first things to do is to confirm what number is being read by the reader by to a laptop, opening Notepad, and tapping the badge to see what number it's putting out. That's for testing proximity cards, or contactless readers. That's another name for them. For help with magstripe or barcode readers, you'll want to be in touch with us here at ACDI for assistance. Soon to come, our biometric reader. Stay tuned to ACDI for more information coming soon. Regular expressions may be required to filter the card number from the string. This can be a global setting, and it's entered into the ext-device.card-no-regex config tab. ACDI's professional services team can assist creating regular expressions, so check with your ACDI representative for more information about that. Some devices can also use a converter to obtain the desired results. Please check the PaperCut device manual for more information on your specific brand. Manuals are on the reseller portal under Support PaperCut MF Manual. You'll also find the MFD integration feature matrix, Getting Started guides, and the PaperCut MF manual, all available for download. Speaking of ACDI support, here's how you can get a hold of us. As the winner of the 2017 Frank Award, second year in a row if I might add, we are very customer focused. If you've had the pleasure of dealing with anyone on our support team, then you know what I mean. These folks are fantastic and are readily available if you need them. There are 2 levels of support offered through ACDI as well. When under the Upgrade Assurance Support Package, you have access to any updated software, as well as email and or phone support. And with our Premium Pro Services Support Package, we not only provide the software, but also the upgrade assistance on the server as well. Real-time support, annual training, sets of your MFD from the hardware failures are also all inclusive. Your ACDI representative has all the details so you can choose what's best for you and your customer. Earlier, I mentioned Getting Started guides that are on the reseller portal. Another resource included is of course, the knowledge base at www.papercut.com/KB. That stands for Knowledge Base. Anything you want to know about the PaperCut software can be found here. It's online. There's no account or login needed. All the information is transparent for anyone to see. Release notes, system requirements, server specifications, all of that and more are found here. Device information is in the manuals, also on the portal, so you can distribute them as needed to your customer. And of course, you'll want to refer to them as well. These manuals get updated frequently, so make sure you're looking at the most recent copy. All of PaperCut for all operating systems are on the Products tab on the portal, as is the job ticketing software. You'll also find any beta items when the percolator is brewing. Check out ACDI's YouTube channel. Many videos are available there, and quite a few how-to vids are on PaperCut's YouTube channel as well. And for mobility print, there's a whole section devoted specifically to that feature. Remember, it came out with version 17, and it's included at no extra charge. This is an extremely powerful and robust solution that allows organizations to roll out a BYOD solution that really works. Many schools are using it. Real estate, shared office, guest access, all types of things. This help page is even available through the knowledge base just by searching for mobility. This is a complete reference guide that even are accomplishing this with PaperCut. FAQs, troubleshooting, setup and system requirements, all just a couple of clicks away. And that wraps up things for today. Well, I mean, a lot of information there. I'm sure you picked up on something because I did just by putting this presentation together. We're going to get to your questions in just a moment, but first, a trivia question right after we sign off for today. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for the feedback on our webinar series. Please keep your comments coming in. We really appreciate it. I'm Doc Ballje for ACDI.